Hi there, it's Anthony, and I'm about to do another reaction to The Walking Dead. This is season 4, episode 4, Indifference. Let's do it. There's Carol, the cold-hearted killer.
People aren't who they were.
Yeah, but there's something. There's someone.
I guess that's true.
I'll be me, but I'll be different.
You won't be you.
How?
You'll just be your body walking around as a flesh-eating zombie.
We all change. We all don't get to stay the same way we started.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so that's showing her do that? Wait, hold on. Yeah, so this is basically like showing, like Rick imagining what's happening. What happened, I mean.
We all change. We all
Now that he knows the
the
truth.
same way we started.
Be afraid to kill. Understand?
Yes.
Does she understand though?
Strong, Lizzie.
Seems like she just wants to cuddle with them. That was a cool scene between Carol and Lizzie right there, and we got to see some nice acting from the young actress portraying Lizzie. Felt like she was, really doing a lot of emoting there, and it also felt like you could really sort of understand where this character is coming from in her belief that these things becoming something different. There's still someone, as she said. That just feels like it's headed so many places. I can't wait to see where that's going. I love how they've been building it up so far all season. And I also love that intro, how like it was, having Carol tell Lizzie all this stuff while Rick was going back and just re-envisioning everything Carol must have done in that situation. And so it's like a big parallel between Carol's actions and her words. Like, it's like we're seeing all of this manifest, and it's, I don't know, it was cool the way that sequenced out. It felt like hearing Carol talk, we were also seeing her, fulfill her beliefs. Feels like there's an awkward dynamic between these two now.
I was trying to save lives. I had to try. Somebody had to.
Maybe. It didn't work at the end of the day. Maybe it would have worked. But it didn't. Everybody has their reasons in this world. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Is that Jasper? It's good color. Brings out your eyes.
Michonne is so funny. Michonne is one of those people where when she says something funny, it hits even harder because you're so used to her not saying something funny and like being pretty serious. And so she can just really quickly slip in these little, not zingers, but like just a funny thing to say, and it takes you off guard, and it's just pretty funny.
Got some friends inside.
Hey, nice little jump scare right there. Whoa. I really do love the fact that it truly feels like one of them could die right now. Tyrese, do you have a death wish? What are you doing lately?
We have fruit.
Yeah, we got apricots, peaches. Here, catch.
Why'd you throw it on the dead body, though? They could have thought there was a bomb in it and decided to shoot you. You can't just throw something at people you don't know in this world.
Just bad.
People just be knowing how to reset somebody's shoulder.
Keep holding on.
That hurts.
Keep holding.
No.
I can't.
Does it feel better now?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gonna be sore for a few days.
That's cool though.
You
came here?
The hell you know about it, huh? You the damn expert?
No, I just don't want to see you die. Is that what you're trying to do?
Looks like it.
Do you even know what you're trying to do?
Aren't you still angry about the governor? What he did?
If he was here right now, I'd cut him in two. Because that's how it needs to be.
Then why are you still going out looking for him?
I mean,
Oh, no.
he could be plotting something. You never know. He could be building an army or something. It's not like it's the most unreasonable thing to still be looking for the governor.
Everybody makes it till they don't. People nowadays dominoes. What they did, maybe it's about not having to watch them fall.
Getting deep out here.
Flu. It's bad.
I've lost a lot.
Kids, too. Yours?
No, thank God. But one.
The run to the big spot, I did it for me.
You gotta keep busy.
No. I did it so I could get me a bottle.
So he's admitting that, huh?
If anything. I picked it up. I held it in my hand, but I put it down. And that's what got Zach killed.
That's bullshit.
It is. You can't blame yourself for that.
You get in there and try the engine. It's a red and a green wire. Go on. It ain't rocket science.
Dang, Daryl wasn't even trying to hear it though. He didn't even he wasn't even understanding yeah, I don't think that you should feel that way, but I understand why. He's just like, nah. Stop all that noise.
Ain't no way anybody could have known. You ain't gonna be standing alone. Not no more. Let's go.
Now see, from Daryl, those are some really endearing words. He's such a nice person, but it's not always gonna come off in the most conventional way, you know what I mean? But that was some real from the heart, bonding type stuff from Daryl.
Better to take letting those kids come back with us.
I think it was the humane thing to do.
But did you think it was right?
That's an interesting way to phrase it. What's humane is no longer what's right.
Digging through drawers.
Is the implication there?
A couple. You were a good leader. Better than I probably gave you credit for.
I never murdered two of our own.
Just one.
She said just one. But that's not even comparable, though. I mean, I'm not here to say whether or not Carol did the right thing. Who knows? But that's not the same situation, obviously. Don't try that, Carol.
He was gonna kill me.
Exactly.
So were they. They were gonna kill all of us.
It's still not the same thing, though. It's not the same thing at all. That's not to say one was worse than the other, but it's not the same thing. Let's not draw a comparison like that's the same.
If you thought it would save Judith or Carl, would you have done it then, or would you have just gone back to your crops and hoped it'd all be okay?
Sometimes I hate how much stuff they be having going on with all this, these morally ambiguous things the characters be doing. I'd be like, I don't even want to have an opinion on this. I don't even want to. I mean, I don't live in this world. I don't even want to have an opinion on it because it gets to the point where it's just what's the point in trying to have an opinion on it? Especially on a reaction like this, first watch. I never really know what my opinion is, and it sucks because then it feels like I have an opinion. Then by the time I put the video out, freaking 10 weeks later, by the time sometimes it feels like I put them out after filming it, my opinion is totally different, but then it's still what it was in the video. And so then the comments are saying something against what I said in a video that I don't even agree with anymore. Sometimes that's why I get tired of having opinions about this stuff. This is just, it's too much. They be having to do too much, man. It's just confusing. I can't imagine living in this world and trying to have opinions on these things.
To do, considering my idea of happiness then was just not being alone. Made a decent living.
That's crazy when you think about it. It's like Carol has kind of been preparing for this already before even having to fight for her life with walkers. She was fighting for life with her own husband.
Sophia? Ed? Somebody else's slideshow.
You know what's crazy? I had totally forgotten about Sophia. Like, she's like been so obviously not mentioning her, not thinking about her, just moving on, outwardly at least. I had totally forgotten about Sophia. And so I knew it was something strange about her saying like she hadn't lost someone, thank God, and then referring to those girls as like, you know, they were her children. And Rick was looking at her weird about that too. But it's like I had totally forgotten about the fact that she definitely did lose somebody, Sophia. And I just thought about Carol was talking about gotta live in reality. She's not living reality if she's acting like she didn't lose a daughter. Just being technical. I mean, I know she didn't have to share that information with everybody, but it seems like it's not like she just said that because they asked. It seems like she's really just thinking about it that way herself too. Like she just has put Sophia out of sight, out of mind. What we got going on now? Another trail of blood. What?
CIN. Grab it. We'll dissolve the pills in the IVs.
Sin.
Put them right into the bloodstream.
Grab the sin.
Still don't have an exit.
We make one.
Make one. I don't think we need a grenade for this window. Yeah. Ooh, parkour. Can walkers do that? If they can't walk down the stairs, I would imagine they can't. Oh no! Come on!
We'll go to the back, man.
Thank goodness he didn't let it go, huh? Could he have gotten infected though with the other disease? Oh wait, what? Wow.
Got no meds in your bag. What's this?
Dang.
Don't.
He was about to shoot him over that? What if he pushed him off?
Those meds getting our people. I will beat your ass into the ground. You hear me?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, that's such an unexpected storyline for The Walking Dead, but it's cool. Like an addiction storyline. You wouldn't even imagine that fitting into this, like in this world, but like that's so cool. Like I really like that they're including something like that. Like if those were the meds, that dude probably would just let them go. He probably would have been willing to let it go if it was the meds. But he couldn't let them go because they were his drinks.
I had to do something.
No, you didn't.
You really didn't. You did the most.
You think I'm going anywhere without Lizzie and Mika?
You want them to leave? To go out there with you, Lizzie?
So Rick is really putting her out. Dang, is he really about to leave her? Is Carol really going to be off the show? I can't even... That'll be surprising.
We're gonna need more gas.
Ed gave this to me on our first anniversary. Please. Should have given it away a long time ago.
Wow, she's kept it all this time. Different ending for The Walking Dead. Like whenever they use like outside music like that, it's just interesting, and I feel like it's good because when they do decide to do something like that, to use music like that, it feels like it hits a little bit harder because they don't oftentimes do that. Because if they just did that all the time and ended every episode with like an emotional song like that, like it probably wouldn't like be as impactful. But since The Walking Dead rarely does stuff like that, and usually they just have all their own like original music that's in there, or they'll go with no music, it's kind of it makes it even cooler when they do put something like that in there. I really enjoyed this episode. In fact, this episode is probably another one that is one of the standouts for me, just in, I guess, the grand scheme of things when it comes to Walking Dead episodes. Like, I thought this one was pretty well done, especially the Rick and Carol stuff. Like, that's really what kind of brings this episode over the edge for me. Like, first of all, it started out with that cold open where Rick was walking around kind of imagining everything that Carol had done, and then Carol was giving that speech to Lizzie, and I talked about how it felt like everything that Rick was saying or everything that Carol was saying was just being depicted in Rick's imagination, so we could really kind of it made you question what she was saying just a little bit more. Whether you agree with it or don't agree with it or anything, it's easy to just at first take it at face value and just be like, oh yeah, she's just giving advice to Lizzie on how to stay alive and survive in this world. And it might be tough, it might be cold, but it is what it is. But like really seeing it all acted out as like kind of like the ideologies of what she was saying as Rick was imagining it, seeing it all acted out while she's talking about it, I just feel like it kind of put things in a bit of a different perspective, and it set up sort of what the big question of the episode was for this time. And that's kind of, did Carol do the right thing in killing those people and, you know, taking their bodies out and setting them on fire and all that? And even if that's not just the main question of this episode, it's definitely the question that Rick was having in his mind throughout the entire episode. And he was trying to figure out what the answer is for him. So I thought that was a really, really just a really nice setup. I love it when they have a cold open that you can just go back and be like, wow, that set things up perfectly. So then from there, they jump off of that and they send Rick and Carol out on this adventure, this quest, whatever you want to call it. And I just thought it was, first of all, really nice because, you know, we sometimes get some Rick and Carol scenes. They're not characters we like see a lot of, you know, scenes with them together in. So it was cool just getting an episode where Rick and Carol kind of got to go somewhere, you know, hash things out in some ways, talk about things, and maybe discuss their differences and ideologies and beliefs. Indifference definitely feels like a really apropos title for this episode because it feels like that's where Carol is coming from. And there's this constant sense that, you know, Rick, no matter what, he's always Rick deep down. He's always going to want to care about things, care about people, care about others. And, you know, and it felt like maybe the fact that Carol was starting to drift away from that is what was causing a little bit of that friction there. I mean, they're presented with these two people like Sam and whatever the girl's name is that he was with. And it's like Carol is, you can tell she does. I mean, like, she kind of doesn't care about them that much. Like, she's like, okay, well, we know that they don't have any survival skills or anything like, you know, anything like that. But let's just send them out on their own and let them try to meet back up with us here and just hope they made it. And then when the girl was dead, she's like, oh well. When the guy doesn't come back, well, it was a nice watch, but whatever. Rick, on the other hand, he wanted them to stay back because I think he wanted them to be safe. He wanted to, in a sense, he probably still felt that obligation to protect them and you know, make sure that they wouldn't be harmed on his account, which is kind of classic Rick in a way. And he wanted to stay and wait for Sam a little bit longer. And it's also like a perfect parallel between Carol killing those people and before they actually died. Carol's kind of just ready to, you know, to give up on people, if you will. And that indifference really shone through the most when they started talking about Sophia and how Carol's basically just blocking memories and thoughts of her out at this point. And, you know, given everything that Carol has gone through up until this point, before the outbreak and after, and by outbreak, I'm talking about the initial, like, the zombie apocalypse that's been going on. Everything that she is saying and doing and thinking makes sense. Like, you totally understand where she's coming from. Like, after losing her daughter the way she did with Sophia, of course she's not going to really want to, you know, open herself up enough to care about people again, or like want to let people in to a way where she will feel sad if they die, even with a random group of people, like, you know, that couple that they met this episode. She's hardened and cold almost in a different way than Rick was now, but she just completely comes from this perspective of indifference, basically, like the episode title. And Rick was noticing this more and more throughout the episode, and I think it's what finally kind of influenced his decision to say she has to hit the road, basically. And he said he's doing it for him more so than for, like, you know, trying to make a decision for the whole group. Now, like I talked about earlier in the episode, I'm kind of at a point at this point where I don't even like having opinions on these things, like on whether or not what Carol did was right or wrong or anything like that. Like I said, I definitely think it makes sense, given everything that she's gone through and has seen. It makes sense that she would feel that way. But, I mean, also, especially after hearing Rick talk at the end of the episode, I mean, I was thinking about this before, like, those people could have survived. They could have still lived. And it's like she kind of made that decision of, I'm just going to kill them, just, you know, in case that'll help things. Again, it ended up not working. It ended up not being the right choice in a way, because the thing still spread anyway. But I don't like to take that into account at this point, because in this world, anything can happen from any decision you make. So it's hard to as dumb as it sounds and as counterproductive as it sounds, it's hard to use the result of an outcome to qualify how good or bad a decision the initial action was at this point. So even though I could use the fact that it didn't matter at the end of the day as a reason to kind of just be like, yeah, see there, Carol, like, what you did was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. It didn't work anyway. I feel like doing that is pointless, because it could have worked. It could have not worked. It didn't work. Maybe it would have. Who knows? But the thing is, the fact of the matter is that, like Rick said, it wasn't her choice to decide whether they live or die. And they could have survived. Obviously, they've come up with another solution now of quarantining these people, at least to try to heat things off as long as they can and get them medicine and all of that. So, and she decided to take it upon herself to make this first choice and to kill them. So and Rick is right. Everybody in the group would be mad at her about this. And I mean, Tyrese would literally want to kill her. So, I mean, and then it's a question of, should Rick have sent her away? Again, I don't really even have an opinion on that. Like, I mean, I feel like he did what he felt like he had to do. I'm sad to see Carol go. Like, she has really grown into one of the best characters on the show, sort of out of nowhere too. And then also, you know, her and Daryl, like, are we just not going to get any closure on that? So I feel like hopefully she'll be back at some point, because, you know, especially with an episode like this, it sucks that on The Walking Dead, characters usually have their best episodes on their last episode. So it's like, I guess it makes sense that if this did end up being her last episode, they clearly tried to make it a really strong, you know, exit for her. But yeah, I hope that we're going to see her again and that this isn't going to be the end of her. Since she didn't die, I would imagine that maybe eventually we will see her again, because The Walking Dead seems like the type of show where if somebody doesn't die, there's always a chance that you might run into them again. At the end of the day, this season we're back to having a situation where these characters are strictly up against the world around them rather than an actual person. And yes, a different aspect of the world now, because now it's this disease, this virus that's going around. When last season they were dealing with the governor and all of his people, but because they're not going up against an actual person, and at the end of the day, they still all have the same problem or problems, which is mainly just trying to stay alive in this crazy world. It makes it really hard to decide who is right and who's wrong, if there's even such thing as this, because you can understand where they're all coming from, and you can understand why they all have their different reasonings. And it's not like, you know, it's not like it's people against each other with different, you know, with different wants and different needs and different goals. Right now, everybody's just trying to stay alive. It's not really the same as last season. Right now, it's literally, they're just all trying to stay alive. So it's not really a villain here. Like, Carol isn't a villain in this situation, or like anybody else isn't really a villain. So it's really tough, you know, it's really tough to decide what Carol should have done in that situation or what she should have. And I think it's one of those things where it kind of doesn't matter. What matters is that she did it. Now, what she said to Rick was that, so you just have to accept it. The thing there is that, no, you don't have to accept it. That's where the choice comes in. And I guess that was a choice that Rick could make. Did he want to accept it? He decided not to accept it. So, yeah, I thought that was a really strong storyline overall. And I'm probably still not even really completely getting into all the intricacies of it. Like, I wish I would have just described everything that I had in my mind about that story better. But, yeah, that's the general gist of it. So, the other half of the episode, we were following Michonne and Daryl and Tyrese and Bob. And I thought that was a pretty cool little outing too. Like, it felt like it had a bit of a different overall theme to it. While in a way, now that I think about it, this just came to me, but it's almost like a big contrast because in Rick and Carol's storyline, we're mainly dealing with like the idea of indifference and, you know, what it can lead to, what it can cause. If you think about it, in the other half of the story, this episode, we're dealing with obsession. Because other than Daryl, I think, all the characters kind of have something that they're, in a way you could say, obsessed with. Like, you know, Tyrese is sort of obsessed with this anger that he's feeling over the death of Karen. Michonne is obsessed with the anger she's feeling too, and she's obsessed with the feeling maybe of wanting revenge for the governor. And Bob has this addiction to alcohol where, you know, you could kind of see that as an obsession as well. I think one way to look at it, though, is that they're all in different phases of obsession. And I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head right now, so forgive me if this doesn't make any sense. But Michonne is kind of now starting to feel like she's at a place where she's getting past it and it's behind her, I think. Then Tyrese is in a place where he's right in the thick of it, and it's influencing his every action almost to the point where he's getting himself killed like every time they get in any type of predicament. And Bob seems to be heading back into it. Like, you know, he had almost gotten out of it. He, like in the other episode, he put the bottle down. It ended up causing all that pandemonium, and Zach died. And so now it's like he's being brought back into that addiction, which seems a bit like a form of obsession. So I think that that's cool how they kind of played it that way and, you know, allowed all those characters to be going through it in one way or another. And then Daryl, I'm not really sure what was going. I mean, I know he said he picked up the Jasper rock and he was looking at it for like using it to like mark a grave or something like that. And then he was examining it after he had that stare down with Bob, and they were on the way back. So I'm not sure if there was any deeper significance to that right now. I guess I haven't caught it, or I'm not seeing it, but they definitely were playing into that a lot. The idea of Daryl looking at that Jasper rock. So that was an interesting aspect. So to wrap things up, great episode in my eyes. Go ahead and let me know what you thought about the episode down in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And head on over to Patreon for the full uncut reaction way ahead of the YouTube schedule. Till next time, I'm Anthony, and I'll see you all later.